This is part 3 of the How to Make a Clay Rattle video tutorial. So far you've made 2 pinch pots, you've made the noisemakers that go inside, you've joined them together, and right now you should have a wonky looking ball like this where they're almost permanently joined together but not quite. So in this portion of the video, I'm going to show you how to make a clay coil that's going to permanently join the 2 sides together, how to poke air holes so that your rattle doesn't explode in the kiln, and how to make a variety of decorations so that your rattle can turn into something unique. So let's begin. Okay, now that you have this ball, what you're going to do is go back into your bag where you're keeping your extra clay, and you're going to take out a piece. Should still be moist. If it's not, then you get the water, you put it on your hands, and you rub your clay in there to re-wetten the clay. So what you're going to do using one hand, and I say one hand, not 2, because one hand is generally stronger than the other. And if you're rolling something out, then one side's going to be thicker than the other. So using one hand, what you're going to do is you're going to roll your clay into a long cord, coil, snake, whatever you want to call it. And make sure you're going back and forth. As you can see, mine is not turning out very even right now. And I'm going to break this part off. Also, one thing that may happen, it may get a little bit skinny, so you're going to want to pinch it back together. It also may get kind of square. That happens because of your fingers. If it does, just pat it down and then re-roll. So the goal is you're trying to make this not too thick, just about this thickness. And you're going to make it the diameter of your rattle. So we will measure, and it's still a little bit thick on that one side, so roll it out. Put it back on here and measure again. And you'll see there, so just pinch that part off, put it back. So now what you're going to do is you're going to take this part off. You're going to put the excess clay back in the bag. That'll be for later. And what you're going to do is you're going to attach this. So before you attach it, you're going to need to slip and score, of course, because it's going to be like Velcro. Otherwise, it will not stay on, it will fall apart in the kiln. So again, roughly score this. And you can use your pin tool or you can use the rib tool. And then you're going to get some slip and just slop it on. You're not trying to make it neat because you're going to blend this together. So then take your rattle and you're going to score all the way around. Be careful that you're not poking all the way through, otherwise you'll create a hole and that's not what you want. So on the part where you joined them together is where you're scoring. And put some slip on that. Be careful not to press too hard, otherwise you will push in all of the scoring that you just did. So taking your cord that you just did, putting the 2 sides that you scored together, gently place that on there, push it on a little bit. And mine got a little bit too long, so I'm going to break off that piece. Now what you're going to do, so your finger is the best tool for this, is you are going to blend in the sides. And what you're trying to do is blend in this cord so you're making the seam strong. So if you don't want to use your finger, you can also use a modeling tool to blend these together. And remember, if your clay sculpture is getting too dry, put water on your hands, not on the clay, and re-moisten it. Also, make sure you're going, spreading it out up and down, not this way, otherwise you are just spreading the clay out instead of, or spreading it too thin instead of actually closing the seam. So this part may take a while, but like I said, you're trying to permanently join these two together, so until you get it all. And then use your fingers if you're using the modeling tool, and keep smoothing it out. At this point, your clay may be more dry than mine, so right now you can see my clay is pretty mushy, and it's holding its shape pretty well, but not to the best of its ability because it is not quite in the hardness stage yet. So once you have that pretty smooth out, you are going to take your rib tool, the one without the teeth, and what you're going to do is smooth out your whole rattle. What you're trying to do is get out all the little dents and divots, or kind of like if you had a peanut or a golf ball, all of those little marks, finger marks, dents. You're just trying to get it even and round. Make sure you're not pushing too hard and you're not taking off a bunch of clay, because then before you know it, you're going to have a hole in your rattle, and that's not what you want. Also, make sure you're keeping this in the palm of your hand, because it's on the table, it's going to get a flat spot, and you probably don't want it to be flat in a spot that you weren't intending to. So once you get all of those little marks out, you're ready for decoration. So your ball will probably be a little more hard than this. You can put it down. And what you're going to do next is, using your excess clay that you put away from earlier, you take it out. Okay, now that you have your extra clay out and your rattle almost completely round and all the edges smoothed out and all of the peanuts or dents taken out, what you're going to do is you're going to decide, if you have not already, what you're going to make this into. So for this demonstration, I am going to make a monster. So what I want to make sure though is that it has air holes so that the air can escape, and that it has some sort of way that it sits on the table so it's not just plopped down there. So for my air holes, I want to kind of do it creatively, so I think I'll probably end up doing them as nostrils or ear holes or some way like that. So I'm not going to do that until the end. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a mouth. So I'm just going to take a piece of the clay, the excess clay, and I'm going to roll out just like I did for the coil. This is just how I want to do it. You can do whatever you want for yours, but for sake of demonstration, this is how I'm going to make my monster. So remember, anytime you attach anything, joining of clay, you need to slip and score. So again, using either my pin tool or my rib tool, I'm going to rough this up, and on my soon-to-be monster, make sure that you're blending the edges together, because if you do not, it will fall off. It won't be how you wanted it. Okay, now that my mouth is attached and I've smoothed all the edges, slipped and scored, it is fully attached. Right now I have a rattle with a round mouth. So now I want to put some teeth on my monster, so take some more of my extra clay. Okay, now I'm going to make some eyeballs, so like I said, remember you're slipping and scoring, otherwise your pieces will fall off. And in this case, nobody likes a two-eyed monster. There's no hospital for the two-eyed monster to get his eye reattached. So make sure you're slipping and scoring. Okay, so now that I have some facial features, I need to make sure that I have a way that I want this monster to sit on the table. So in this case, I want to make some feet for him. So like I said, you can use your tools to create texture. So using your loop tool, you can press in to make scales. Or you could use your rib tool to make some kind of fur texture. And the most important part now, you need to make sure that you poke air holes. They need to be a good size and they need to go all the way through. So using your pin tool, I'm going to make mine as nostrils. So I'm going to poke all the way in and move it around a little bit so that the air can escape from the inside. You also want to think about how big you made those rattles on the inside, those small clay balls, because if they're small or your holes are bigger than those balls, then they're going to fall out and your clay is not going to make any noise. I'm also going to put 2 little ear holes. So generally you want to have 3 or 4 air holes. Pretty good size, just enough for the air to escape, and there you have a clay rattle. This concludes the 3-part tutorial on how to make a clay rattle. Throughout the video, you learned how to make 2 pinch pots, how to make the 3 balls that go inside to make the noise, how to join those 2 pinch pots together, how to join them permanently with a coil, and how to poke air holes so that it doesn't explode in the kiln. Remembering all of these steps may be difficult, so you can replay any part of these videos at any time you need to. So your end product will look like this. This is in the wet stage. You'll notice that it is sitting flat on the table. It is not wobbly, which is something that you need for your assignment. Also, you'll notice that all of the clay joints are smoothly blended together, which is something else that you also need for this assignment. After your piece is fired, it will look like this, and it will make a noise like this. So good luck and have fun.